When attorney Sidney Powell said last week that she was getting ready to release the Kraken, there was no clue that President Trump's legal team would distance itself from her just days later, as it seemingly has in fact done. So what does it mean? Well, it depends on who's talking. One could speculate that Powell's claims, whether eventually provable or not, might not mesh with the team's immediate strategy, mostly because of time constraints. The Epoch Times reported that Trump's personal attorney and head of his re-election effort, Rudy Giuliani, issued a statement that, quote, Sidney Powell is practicing law on her own. She is not a member of the Trump legal team. She is also not a lawyer for the president in his personal capacity, end quote. Now, it's not clear from the statement if she ever was a part of Trump's official team. President Trump himself has sort of referred to her in that way, listing her among their lawyers and other representatives. Powell appeared with the team during their big press conference of November the 19th. Whether or not she was officially a member at that time, it certainly appeared so. But this distancing might be about something else entirely. Michael Flynn Jr., the son of Powell's longtime client, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, aimed to clear it up with a message on Parler, saying, "Cannot confirm yet, but I'm confident this has to do with money coming in for legal defense fund support. Sidney Powell has her own separate entity for legal donations that isn't in conjunction with the Trump legal team. Free Sidney Powell to do her own thing, which will still be biblical." Give this the 24-hour rule. Well, that's what I always do. Flynn later said, "Can confirm Sidney Powell is free to focus and not be tied to having to vet everything through the campaign." Powell told Newsmax that we've got tons of evidence. It's so much that it's hard to put it all together. Well, of course, they do have to put it all together for it to be worth anything. And as I've cautioned, showing that votes could have been changed is a far cry from showing that they were changed. On Sunday, Michael Steele, spokesperson for Dominion, was interviewed on Fox News. He told Eric Shawn it was physically impossible for the machine to switch votes. Naturally, Democrats, including the media, are drooling over the success of this election, fawning over how secure it was and blowing their tops at anyone who would suggest that it's remotely possible that there could have been some monkey business. But I'll remind them that they've told their own stories about the problems with Dominion voting machines. I know, hard to believe they'd cover that, right? But it was from 2019 when it was okay for the mainstream media to report such things. Mark Levin finds it troubling that some cases brought by Trump's team have been dismissed by judges when they shouldn't have been. Of course, the media, they just don't question it when it happens. They just exclaim that Trump lost another case. The threshold that allows the case to go forward and lets the plaintiff seek expedited discovery should be fairly easy to reach. Since time is of the essence, he said discovery can be ordered immediately. In civil litigation, unexplained significant deviations from expected results, mathematical inconsistencies supported by experts, should be more than sufficient to establish a reasonable basis to file a complaint and justify fast discovery. Well, we definitely have mathematical inconsistencies, some very big ones, and supported by experts. This should be enough to advance a civil case. Those who say, "There's no evidence," well, they're just wrong. It seems to me that judges, in dismissing these cases, are cutting President Trump's team off at the knees before they can go forward with discovery to gather the evidence that they need to take it to trial. Such rulings prevent the lawyers from fact-finding. And quite frankly, that might be their purpose. The Trump team has collected hundreds and hundreds of affidavits, sworn under penalty of perjury. That means going to jail, well, unless you're on Team Hillary. And they've hidden these from election workers, they've gathered them from election workers, and they've gotten them from state officials and civilians. We also have the question of who makes election laws. The Constitution says state legislatures do this, not governors or state Supreme Court justices. Now, this distinction will come into play in Pennsylvania, and that's why Justice Sam Alito ordered Pennsylvania to keep the late arriving ballots separate, pending future rulings. Harvard Law professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz has maintained This is a strong Supreme Court argument for the Trump team, as well as for equal protection. Still, he believes that the strongest case, if they have the evidence, is the one about voting machines turning hundreds of thousands of votes. In the months before the election, Democrat lawyers brought over 300 lawsuits to change voting rules in various states, all with the result of making fraud easier, if not downright institutionalized. Judges made these decisions, but the Constitution says state legislatures are supposed to do that. Some of these changes call into serious question the accuracy of the vote count. Levin says that the legislatures in these states should have issued resolutions early on stating that they had a duty to ensure Article 2 of the Constitution is upheld, that they make the election laws, and they declare these judges' rulings null and void. And if they had done this, they would have headed off all kinds of chaos. But unfortunately, they didn't. Sidney Powell may have gone a bridge too far in her claims, but we'll see. She's got a sterling reputation, and her determined, measured handling of the Flynn case makes it pretty hard to believe that she's saying things she can't back up or isn't confident that she'll be able to back up. As I've said, this seems startlingly out of character for her, so much so that I suspect there's something about it we just don't know. But now we do have an idea what that might be. Well, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, consider subscribing to the channel below and clicking the notification bell. I hope you'll leave a like and a comment, and share this video as well if you really enjoyed it. If you want more of my news analysis and commentary, you can sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It is completely free. That's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.